The Oklahoma Sooners.
Oklahoma has desperately got to get better on defense. And that's the biggest issue by far. By far. And those that don't really know what's going on will say like, well, they were shut out against Texas. Yeah, but they didn't have their quarterback. That was offensively always going to be a tough game because Dylan Gabriel wasn't in there for them. He was banged up. And their defense, though, is giving up that amount of points all the time. Oklahoma has given up 40-plus points in 4 straight games. All league games. That can't happen. That can't even in a win. Now, let's back up for a moment. Part of that is because the Big 12 is very good offensively, and I think that's difficult on defenses, right? So even when you play Kansas, they're really good on offense. And although Oklahoma won the game and scored over 50 points, there's Kansas with over 40 points in that game. So it was Kansas State, then TCU, then Texas, and here comes Kansas, and all of them score 40 points. They've got to fix that. And the troubling part for me about OU is that although their coach is a first-time head coach and a new first-year head coach at this location, that's his sweet spot. So doesn't it feel a little bit different than, like, let's say Notre Dame, who's played okay on defense and certainly is a defense that you would expect to get better. But when this is your cornerstone, Brent Venables made his name as a defensive coordinator, both at OU and at Clemson. Guy's been in like, oh gosh, I'm going to get the number wrong, but I think it's like 8 national title games, 7, 8 national title games since 2000 as a coordinator. Like, he knows how to play at the top end, and he comes in and OU is bad. They are bad on defense. We tried to explain this in the preseason by saying, listen, they lost too many guys off of their defense. They lost their leader in sacks, leader in tackles for loss, and interceptions. That was going to be too much to overcome just on that side of the ball alone. But remember, they also lost a couple of quarterbacks. They also lost Kennedy Brooks, who had rushed for 1,000 yards in 3 different seasons at Oklahoma. They also lost their offensive play caller. They also lost their head coach. So in some respects, you can understand why they're in this predicament. But the troubling part is the defense. The defense has got to improve. It's got to improve. Offensively, they're doing okay. Not great, but okay, and they'll continue to get better. If Dylan Gabriel is in the lineup, then they can beat anybody left on their schedule. And it's not an easy schedule. Similar to Texas, they could lose a lot of these games. They could win a lot of these games. When I look at their schedule, they're going to have what has become, and this is wild, a basement dweller game against Iowa State. These two are in the cellar in the Big 12. Then they've got Baylor at West Virginia, the Bedlam game, and then at Texas Tech. None of them easy. Probably the easiest one, West Virginia. By record, easiest one would be Iowa State. But at Iowa State, I think is much more difficult than, let's say, West Virginia, although playing the Mountaineers there in Morgantown is no easy task. Oklahoma needs 2 wins out of those 5 games in order to go to a bowl. Don't you think they're going to get that? See, I do. So even if the defense just improves a little bit with Dylan Gabriel at quarterback, this is still a top 25 total offense. Now, they're 120th in total defense, so that needs to improve a little bit. But I do think that this is a team that's going to end up getting those 2 victories and end up being a bowl team. And I think that that's good for Oklahoma. I came into the year, and if you'll remember this, and OU fans, you hated me for saying this. I said this is one of those years that they're probably going to take a dip, and they might lose more games than they ever lost under Bob Stoops, at least post-2000. And everyone's like, oh, you're the worst. You're a snake. You love Lincoln Riley. And bottom line is, it's just the nature of how much they lost. And that's playing out before us. If their defense can get a little bit better, their offense is pretty good. 2 wins in the last 5, I think, is certainly something that you can expect from them.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here, College Football on Fox.